If you find yourself without electricity at this time and you're awaiting the power company to restore that, it might be a good idea to go ahead and turn the breakers off in your breaker box, and then when power does get restored, you'll see it start to come up in the neighborhood. Maybe the street lamps will come on, or maybe the power company will notify you. And then you can re-energize each breaker one at a time and just make sure that everything's intact, that there's not a hot spot. And by all means, if you turn a breaker on and you see a spark or you smell smoke or you think something is too hot, you need to safely shut the breaker off if you can, and then we want you to call us at 911 and we can send an engine company to check for fire danger. If you've been using gas all this time and that service wasn't interrupted, you might be okay. But if you find yourself where the gas was shut off, if you had a gas stove that you used to cook on and you went to use it yesterday morning and the gas wasn't on, then you may need to have the gas turned off at your private residence. And then if you're not sure about what to do or how to handle that, you may need to speak with the utility company. We don't want you to turn the gas back on to your house and maybe there's a fracture somewhere that could cause you a problem later or a health situation. The stormwater and wastewater systems are probably overwhelmed or at capacity now. So until you get further notice, just try to flush as little as possible, do as little as laundry as needed as possible. Maybe you can hand wash some dishes instead of running the dishwasher, and just try to conserve everywhere you can until you receive notice that everything is a system normal again. It's fine to use propane as long as it's outdoors, and that includes not running that in the garage. And so as you go to different places, convenience stores, other places to get propane, you need to make sure that you get a good bottle. If you happen to buy a propane bottle that has a green or discolored valve in it, you don't need to get that one, and you need to point that out to the people at the store because it's probably had some other chemical in it besides propane, and it's not a good candidate, and those have been shown to cause a problem later on down the road. So if you're using propane for anything, make sure it's ventilated and outside the structure. Generator safety, again, can't stress enough the fact of reading the owner's manual for the generator from cover to cover. Make sure you understand how it's used, and make sure that you shut the generator down when it's time to refuel it. Give it about 20-30 minutes to cool off, and then while you're running the generator, it's important to make sure you have a UL listed or an FM factory mutual approved extension cord that is a heavy enough gauge, probably a 14 gauge, 12 gauge cord, and that determines the thickness and how much current it can carry. And as you run that cord into the house, you need to put a plug-in on the end of it that will only let you put 5 or 6 other small items, a lamp, a microwave, possibly a radio, charge up your cell phone, that kind of thing. Don't put more than one of those multiversal plugs on the end. And while you're running the generator, naturally your air conditioner is going to be out. You're going to have windows up and screens and that kind of thing. Make sure you put that generator 25 to 50 feet away from the structure, and you need to check the wind every couple hours or so because you might have placed your generator in a safe location and the wind is blowing the exhaust away. And that wind can change any time, and that exhaust gas can start coming into the structure or the home. So you may begin to feel nauseous, get a headache, or you get sleepy all of a sudden. You need to reevaluate the location of your generator. You might need to move it or stop using it. If you do find yourself encountering those kind of health conditions, you need to move outside to fresh air where it's better ventilated until you start to feel better. And if that goes away in 3, 4, 5 minutes, then it can be safe to assume that you were getting some carbon monoxide, and we don't want that at all. Now you're at a point where it's been deemed safe and you can move out, and you probably have your own chainsaw where you want to cut up limbs and carry them to the street and that kind of thing. Make sure you wear a hat, make sure you put on sunblock, wear some gloves, safety glasses. We see a lot of uptick in eye injuries from sawdust and simply just getting a limb or something that hits you in the face. Who's to say you might not have an allergy to that? So wear your PPE, your personal protective equipment. And if you are going to run a chainsaw, make sure you read the owner's manual from cover to cover. It's very critical, very important. And you need to make sure you wear the proper safety equipment with that. A long sleeve shirt and either long pants or the safety Kevlar chaps that you can purchase for very little or nothing. Make sure you have proper shoe wear. They might not necessarily have to be steel-toed boots, but you need to have something that cover your toes and protect your ankle. And this isn't light work. Make sure you stay hydrated, water, Gatorade. If you're a person that's on any type of prescription medication that might limit your ability to function, then leave that stuff alone and wait for some grandkids or a nephew to come home and they can help you with that later.